and good morning, everyone. I am Khadija Naveed from the School of Creative Media and Technology, a student of IT Information Technology of MAHSA and International College. Along with me, we have a very special guest with us today, Muhammad Saifuddin bin Hasimuddin. Hello, Mr. Saifuddin, how are you?
Hello, hi everybody. Thank you, Khadija. Doing good.
The topic today that we are going to talk about is graphic design in real world, the current market situation. By my understanding, as we know that graphic design is a craft where professionals create creative content to communicate with others in a visual way, right? So basically graphic designers, they develop graphic designs that are intended to educate people in a visual way, right? So, Mr. Saifuddin, since you are a professional graphic designer, we can say that. How did you actually get into this graphic designing field?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very nice question. And thank you, MAHSA Avenue International College, for having me today. It's a very lovely morning, and then it's a good topic to start with. So, how do I get into graphic design? It's actually back then when I was still a kid. I went into my cousin's house, and then I went to his room, and then I saw this application popping on the screen. And then back then, I do not know what kind of software or program it was called. But the things that I saw, there was a selective of items, and then I realized that that's the first thing that actually I clicked. It's called a magic wand tools. Okay. Then after that, and then I explored a bit more, and then I realized that actually it's an Adobe Photoshop. It's a tools, a program that actually to design something. I was kind of interested, but back then I do not have any computers back then, so I just like left it like that. So moving forwards after that, a few years, I continued my study. It was back in Multimedia College. I enrolled in telecommunication engineering because that's what my mom wants to do, want me to do. So I become an engineer. And then throughout that courses, there's this one course whereby it's about multimedia. We need to do flash animations. We need to do designs. We need to edit photos, photos manipulations. And then as an engineering student, we only work with color. You only work with black and white. It's just numbers, It's kind of dull and dry. And then I realized when I enrolled in that short course of multimedia, it was kind of interesting because that's the first time we actually play with colors. We play with things. We play with your imaginations. Because you have to do a certain process. They call it design process. So having a first encounter doing that while you're still young, it's fun, and it's kind of a revelation for me. Because it actually really asks you to express yourself. So that's, I think, one of the how actually I get into graphic design in the first place. Yeah.
Since Mr. Saifuddin just tell us about how he changed from telecommunication engineering from the graphic design, right? So how is your experience in graphic design until now? How did you find the graphic design?
For me, graphic design, I only have one word. It's wonderful.
Or
Okay. For those that actually really want to get into graphic design, I changed my life. Like I said before, because I was in when I was still in primary and secondary school, everything's about number. Everything, like everybody was emphasizing on science, mathematics, science, mathematics, science, mathematics. It's very dull. It's very dry. It's not that not interesting. It's in this. It just when you kids, you have this kind of you want to express. You have imagination that is unlimited. Somehow that subject is not wrong. It's just like somehow it's limit us to things more. And then my experience when I start working and studying, I actually changed my courses from engineering to into creative multimedia. And because for me, because I'm a really practical kind of guy, I realized that when I did my engineering, again, I'm not back mouthing about engineering and whatsoever. It's just like personal.
not for you.
Yes, it's just personal experience. that I don't think is really is not relevant. It's not relevant to me because from what I remember, from what I know, the only things that actually apply during my job is at the last semester of engineering. So I say like, okay, this is wasting of time. Like that's 2.5 years, and you use like half year. So when I get into graphic design, and after did a bit of research, and then say that, and then I found out that all what I'm studying from the first and then until the last, I use it, and then for me it's very rewarding. I study like 3 years, then I get used everything. So it's really really wonderful, whereby it changed my life in a way, like how I dress myself, how I think, and then things that I work with. Because you see nowadays people are really, even particularly in the city, people are really fast, and then they don't like step back and actually embracing colors or embracing things that are wonderful. They just like, okay, work, and that's it. It's tough, and then it's kind of depressing for me. So working with people that want to express idea, hey, how about you do this? How about you do that? Talk with feelings, talk with colors, talk with, things that you can experiment. For me, it's just wonderful.
All right. So your experience as a student and a worker, like you just suddenly start graphic designing after your engineering. So how was the experience as students? You say it was wonderful, right? You get to play with colors and everything. But when you
Yeah,
went to the work, was it different, or did you experience something? Oh my God, this is not what I've studied.
yeah,
Something like that.
it is.
It is.
It is. um, how do you say? When you studying, because you don't, when you studying, you don't have a perceptions of the world outside.
Yeah.
Okay, you thought that what you learned back in university is gonna be implemented exactly the same thing when you go outside. Okay, this is at the catch. What you learn is not actually wrong. No, it's right. It so happen when you go outside, you don't use all of it. But the thing is, you need to know what is it. You need to know the fundamentals. You need to know how the rules. Then you can, in a way, break it. Like, for example, like when you do videos, right? When you do a video, you cannot actually like there's a third view. I'm sorry, it's too technical. For example, like a bit simpler, a bit simpler. I could not think of any, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But the thing, what I'm trying to say is really, things that you learn is different of what you do,
Right.
because the clients, at the end of the day, you want to satisfy your clients.
Right.
Okay, your client doesn't understand how design works, what is the design process. So sometimes when you as a designer, you want to educate people,
Right.
and then you want to tell people that design is supposed to be like this, and design is supposed to be like that. It cannot be like this, it cannot be like that, because that's what we learn. But people outside doesn't care about that. They just want, okay, I want it like that. So that, I think, the biggest difference that I found out.
All right. So, if you talk about graphic trends right now, graphic trends basically, if you talk about graphic trends are how we look what's have happened before to
Mm,
help us understand and to predict future.
mm,
What's the next trend coming on, right?
mm.
So my question is that the idea is that we want something but not different, right? So in graphic design, how do designers come with a new trend that actually people want it? How they predict the future, and what is the graphic trend right now?
Okay, the graphic trend right now, or should I say, what your question is really good, because that's what actually all designers want to do. You want to find but it's relatable, but you don't want it to be too detached, because it's going to be like really, because when you do, it's really a thin line. When you do something that really really unique, you're going to become an artist. You're not going to become a, when you want to become a designer, you want to you have to satisfy the client's need or a company needs. I give you like one example, like if anybody knows outside, name this artist called Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono. She artist. She's designed. Sometimes she does experimental. Although design, but it's her based on her feelings. Do something completely different, unrelatable, juxtaposed. So that's how we call them artists, because it's not for the company, it's not for the client, it's for her. Unless, for example, like me, I work for clients, or there was a period of time I work as a internal designer. I work for Guacolan, let's say. The other day I worked for Guacolan. So we have these projects. So the project is about property. So I need to know their previous property, how does it look like, what are the colors they use, what are the design, what are the design language, what are the corporate language, those are kind of things. So that's sorry, what was the question again?
The graphic trend.
Okay, the graphic trend.
Yes.
Okay, the graphic trend, those are kind of things. Firstly, that's two different things, artist or designer. So when you're a designer, you need to know the current trend. Like the other day, when I was in Guacolan, we want to know what are the colors of the year now. So we just search. So if you use Pantone, back then it was a yellow color. So that's the trend. So we following yellow colors for all our design, and then all the shades of yellow. That's when you talk about colors. If you want to talk about the design language, perhaps there are times where flat lay is famous, so everybody are using that. Sometimes there was a retro famous. Sometimes there was infographic kind of design famous. That's you following the trends. But if you want to come up with your own things, must be really big. Or for example, in gaming industry, Cyberpunk 2077 came out. So they create this new IP, and then has this cyberpunk themes. And then nobody actually explored that theme before, and it was really and the design language are like that. So many in this gaming designer or poster or things that relate to gaming, they're gonna follow that.
So, although the work in a digital age means that you need to interact with softwares, right?
Yeah.
Interactive softwares. And you also say that as a graphic designer, you must have a firm understanding on color theory. Colors not only must reflect the organization, but also graphic design is also used in nearly in every product that human communicates with. So my question is that how do designers comes up with a product that is actually visually communicating with others and interacting with customers?
A design that communicate with the customers.
Yes, in a visual way.
In a visual way. Well, there's a couple of ways to do that. The first thing first, why you design in the first place? Because you want to deliver a message. It depends on your product that you want to. Petronas, they are selling what? They're selling petrol. But you don't put petrol. Right? You don't put petrol, you just put Petronas logo.
Yes.
So in a way, sometimes when you design something, you don't actually want to sell something, you just want a branding. That's Petronas, for example. You just put logo, you put some F1, right? So in order to say that Petronas is good, they use F1 as an example. So all their poster, whatever that cater that markets, they can use F1 photos, F1 cars, things that shows performance. That's one way how they deliver message, saying that Petronas oil is really good. Okay, and then the other things, for example, like Dyson. Dyson is just a It's just a vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
Usually people know about vacuum cleaner. That one they use product, right? All Dyson collateral you will see Dyson vacuums. That's how they're saying that we are selling vacuums. You don't have actually we are selling vacuum. No, you just put vacuum, and then that's another way lah. Um,
Alright, so that's just now Mr. Saifuddin explained that graphic trends and how designers actually come up with a product that are visually communicated with others. You don't need to actually, say to people that this is that. You just need to put the product or just
it depends. Or it depends.
it depends on
It
the
depends
organization.
because sometimes like that when we talk about sardine, sardine. Do you buy ayam brand? Ayam brand. Do you know what ayam brand is? No, you don't know. Okay. Do you know Nescafe?
Yes.
Nescafe, right? Is it Nescafe?
Coffee.
It's a coffee, right? But sometimes we don't. When you go to Mama, you don't say coffee. You want to say Nescafe because when you ask for coffee, they're gonna give you coffee.
Right.
So things like that. Because when you want your design or your brand, because design it relates to brand. When you want to a very niche brand that wants to relate about coffee, you need to do it like back then. It's a long process. Previously, while Nescafe went out, they're gonna say it's not coffee, it's Nescafe, because they want to relate. They want to say that Nescafe is coffee, but actually it's a Nescafe. But when you buy other products like kapal api, they have to mention kopi kapal api because they are new products. Okay, that's why they said kopi kapal api. If the brands evolve, people already know that kapal api selling coffee, so they don't have to mention about coffee. So it relates with what you design and what your brand is.
Correct. So moving on, we have a question and answer session.
Sure.
Since Mr. Saifuddin really explained really well about the trends and the products and his experience actually basically. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat right below. You have the session. If no questions, then Mr. Saifuddin, I have one more question for you.
Okay, sure.
What was the most memorable or perhaps exciting moment until now in graphic design for you?
The most exciting moment. Well, actually, if you come to think about it, or most of the time is actually my most memorable moment, because right, do you feel proud that if you do something and actually someone use it,
For sure.
you're proud, right?
I'm proud.
Do you feel proud that actually when you do something and people say that people want to show your work to the people outside,
Exactly. I would be really proud if
right?
something happened.
Yes, you will be very proud.
Yes.
Just imagine that, because that's what happened to me every day.
Alright.
Yeah, when you design something and it's finished, your clients like it, your clients love it, and if it's for a poster or for a billboard, you're gonna see the design at the billboard. Okay, that's what happened when I did for a certain clients, like clinics, for a property, like big billboard on the highway. You feel proud. Well, nobody actually knows it, but you know that it's yours.
Yes.
Yeah, it's part in your portfolio, and it's very exciting. And then, for example, if let's say you design a package, and the people actually gonna use that design, put their packages, and then ship it like all over the world, or all over Malaysia, and then you proudly say when you see in a supermarket, hey, I designed this,
This is mine.
and this is mine.
Yes.
It's proud. For me, that's the most wonderful. That's the most memorable things ever. Every day is my most memorable things ever.
Alright. So for me, I found like graphic design is really fun.
Yes, it is.
But I don't want to change my engineering to graphic design perhaps, like you. But by this, I think that I really get the informative knowledge from you. Thank you so much, Mr. Saifuddin, for sharing all this informative knowledge with us. But then I think we have come to the end of our live session today. today. Thanks, Mr. Saifuddin, for coming here and joining with us today. And thank you all the audience that joined with us today. I hope you really get the knowledge that Mr. Saifuddin, gave you just now. So by that, I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Khadija, and thank you, MAHSA Avenue Internet College, for having us today.
Okay, hope to see you again. Until then, goodbye and stay safe.
Have a nice weekend.